Last time we did analysis for Allahu Akbar, and we discussed that Allahu Akbar, Allah is Mubtada and Akbaru is the khabar, and it means Allah is greater. And then we enter into analysis of Sana. We did these first three sentences. In case if you have any question, because recording was shared in the group already, it will be difficult to go back to this one. In case if you have any question, you are more than welcome to ask your questions regarding first three sentences. Inshallah, I do the last one soon. Okay, if there's no question, let's inshallah do our last sentence of Sana, and that is Wala ilaha ghayruka. Obviously, when we stop, we say Wala ilaha ghayruk, but obviously, if you read all the harakat, then it is Wala ilaha ghayruka. So this vow, again, this vow is vow of ataf, and it is connecting all of these sentences, because this vow connected with the this one with the previous one, and then this vow connected also this one with the previous one, and this vow connected also this one with the previous, which means that all of them are connected to this sentence. Right? Now, after vow, we have the word la. Now, we have discussed this. Let me remind you, whenever you see la, always look at what is after the la. If after la, you have an ism which is in nasab status and light. Light means no noon sound, no tanween or no noon at the end. So these two things, light and in nasab form. So whenever you see that after la, there is a ism, and this ism is light and in nasab form, as in this case, if you look at the word ilah, you can see that the word ilah is without tanween, without noon sound, it is light, and it is in nasab status because of the fatha. This will be a sign that this la is la of categorical denial, which we call in Arabic la nafi jins, that the law of categorical denial. There's no whatsoever. Now, second point we discussed is that when this law of categorical denial comes, it behaves in the same way as inna family behaves. What it means? That it will need a ism after it, and that ism will be in nasab status, because that is how inna family works, and then it will need a khabar, and khabar can be in any of those three forms: one word khabar, a complete sentence khabar, or shibhul jumla khabar. Clear? Now, which means that we say that this law, it is law of categorical denial. I just put it shortly, categorical denial. And then this ilah, it is the ism of law. Ism of law. Okay. And now you need the khabar of law, right? Remember this word ghayru. In case if you don't know already, let me inshallah tell you. I'm not sure that if we have discussed this before or not. I think we discussed in Surah Al-Fatiha, as far as I can remember, because ghayril maghdub alayhim, right? So this word ghayr is always used as special mudaf, which means that after this ghayr, you will always have a mudaf ilay, right? And this is the reason you have this attached pronoun, which means that this ghayr will be special mudaf, and this ka is a mudaf ilay, which means that this ghayru ka is a special mudaf fragment and nothing else is there. Now, if you recall, there are two things which can be your shibhul jumla khabar. What are those two things? Jar majroor phrase or special mudaf phrase, not mudaf mudaf ilay, special mudaf phrase, right? And because special mudaf phrase and jar majroor phrase, they are normally muta'alliq bil khabar, right? But if your khabar is missing, then they have the option that they can play the role of khabar. They don't have to. For example, if you still say that ghayruka is muta'alliq bil khabar and there's no khabar here, no problem at all. It will be correct. But if you say that ghayruka is a special mudaf phrase and it will be our khabar, basically khabar of la. Khabar of la. Because this ilah became the ism of la and ghayruka became the khabar of la. Why? And remember this point. This treatment of la is only la of categorical denial. So first of all, you need to make sure that do you have la of categorical denial? If you do have, then treat this la like the inna family. Now, let's translate it. Wala ilaha ghayruka. And there is no ilah. Remember this point. You know, when your khabar is shibhul jumla, please pay attention. When your khabar is shibhul jumla, then in English translation, you can translate by using, depending on the context, there is. Because there's no construction for there is in Arabic. It will be used, this you will use the translation there is in those cases where your khabar is shibul jumla, then you have this option to use this there is translation. So that's I said that, and there is no deity whatsoever. Ghair mean other than or beside. Ka mean you. And there is no deity whatsoever besides you. This was our last statement. So subhana, subhanaka, we have, I will not go into the grammar because we have done in the previous session. Subhanaka is a mudaf ilay. Your glory, subhanaka, subhan mean glory and ka mean your glory. Allahumma, O Allah, wa bihamdika, and with your praise. Clear? Once again, I'm only translating what we have. In terms of grammatical justification, we did in the last session. If in case if you have not watched, please watch that one. Okay. So your glory, O Allah, and with your hamd. Wa tabarakasmuka, and blessed is your name. Wa ta'ala jadduka, and high is your majesty. Wala ilaha ghayruka, and there is no deity whatsoever other than you. Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. And by the way, after Sana, you recite Suratul Fatiha, which we have done already. And then you recite one of the surahs. And we have done the last 10 surahs. Okay. After reciting Fatiha and surah, then you go for, then you say Allahu Akbar, and you go for bowing down or ruku'ah. So in the ruku'ah, you say Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. Once again, Subhan, same word, Subhan. And then remember I said last time that you will almost every time you will see that Subhan will be used in Quran and Sunnah as a mudaf ilay construction. So Subhan is mudaf and Rabb is the mudaf ilay. That is one point. But you can clearly see that Rabb and ye are connected. And what is ye? Ye is an attached pronoun. And what is the rule? The rule is whenever you have a pronoun attached with ism, because Rabb is ism, whenever you have pronoun attached with ism, it is always mudaf ilay, which means that this Rabbi itself is also mudaf ilay, in which Rabb is the mudaf part and ye is the mudaf ilay part. Okay, so instead of saying that Subhan is mudaf and Rabb is mudaf ilay, so far you can say that Subhan is mudaf and Rabbi is mudaf ilay. But hang on a second. After Rabbi, you have a word Al-Azimi, right? Now, what is the principle? If ism is in jar status, what will you do? You look that is there a preposition before it? So before al-azimi, what do you have? Ya, because Rabbi, ya. Before al-azimi, you have the word ya or ye. And obviously ye is not a preposition. What is second possibility? That this ye is mudaf. Definitely not, because ye is mudaf ilay, but not mudaf, right? Because remember, Rabbi are two words, and the word immediately before al-azim, what is the word immediately before al-azim? Ye, not Rabbi, ye. And ye is neither preposition nor it is mudaf, right? So we have discussed that when these two, because these are the only two justifications that why al-azimi is in jar status. When none of them is applied, then we have discussed that a third option will come. And what is that option? That al-azimi does not have its own era or its own status. Its status is actually that it is either becoming the badal or becoming the sifa for something which have came before it. And in this case, Rabbi was in jar status because Rabbi and ye, Rabbi was in jar status, and al-azimi is the sifa for that Rabbi. For this reason, al-azimi is in jar status. So which means that now you will say that this is how they are connected. That Rabbi is the mausuf and al-azimi is the sifa. Clear? So subhana mudaf, and this mausuf sifa together in the bucket of mudaf ilay. Why? Because from Rabbi all the way to al-azim, all of them are connected. Rabbi and he as mudaf ilay, and al-azimi as the sifa for Rabbi. Clear? Now, subhana rabbi al-azim, subhana mudaf, Rabbi al-azim together mudaf ilay. Subhan, glory, and then you'll put off, glory of my Rabb the great. Al-azim, glory of my Rabb. Subhan mean glory, and then you put off because of mudaf ilay. Rabbi, my Rabb, al-azim, al-azim, the great. You can say the greatest. Okay, glory of my Rabb, the greatest. You may be thinking that what is then the difference between Akbar and Azim? I can't, in my limited vocabulary, I can't think of any word which can be distinguishing between Akbar and Al-Azim. But Azim is basically also greatness. Akbar is also in the sense of greatness, but obviously they are different. So maybe inshallah, if you look, you can maybe find a better translation. But this was grammatical analysis of Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. And please tell me that if there is something which is not clear to each other. So this is our tasbih of when we go for prostration. Subhana Rabbi al-Ala. So same thing, Subhan mudaf, Rabbi al-A'la mudaf ilay. Inside of this one, this Rabbi is also mudaf ilay. Mudaf ilay, and al-A'la is the sifa for Rabbi. And Rabbi al-A'la, the only difference is in Ruku'ah we say al-Azim, and in Sajda it is al-A'la. Al-A'la means the most high. So glory of my Rabb. And who is this Rabb? The most high. Clear? Now, after, obviously we are going in a sequence. I just mentioned the tasbih of Sajda just to cover both of them together. After Ruku', when you came back from the Ruku', what do you say? Sami Allahu liman hamida, Rabbana lakal hamd. Right? Now, first of all, the word Samia. Let me just erase the rest of the stuff so I can use it. So Samia, you all know this, that Samia is Fi'l Madi. It has a built-in file Huwa, right? Now, but you can see that after Samia, Allahu, what is Allahu? Lafzul Jalala, because this is the word they use in the books of grammar for the name of Allah. So Lafzul Jalala, the word of majesty. So Allahu is in Rafa status. And what is the principle? In Jumlatul Failiyah. And it is a Jumlatul Failiyah. Why? Because Samia is a fail. So in Jumlatul Failiyah, as soon as you get ism in Rafa status as Allahu in this case, that ism will become your outside file and the built-in file of Samia will be cancelled. So instead of saying Samia, he heard. Now what will you say? Allah heard. Liman, so Allah is the file. Samia is the fail Madi. Allah is the file. Liman Hamida, you see, Lam, Harf Jar. And then this Man Hamida, and if you look at the Haraka on this, it is Man Hamida Hu. Okay, it is Man Hamida Hu. Now, Lam is Jar, Man Hamida Hu is Majroor, right? But inside of Man Hamida, this Man is Ism Mawsul, and this Hamida is fail, and it has a built-in file which is Huwa, and this Hu is the attached pronoun. So Hu will become Maf'ul. Why? Why? Because what is the rule? If pronoun is attached with the fail, pronoun always become Maf'ul. So basically what I'm saying is that this Man Hamidahu, this part, Man Hamidahu part is a complete Jumla. This Man Hamidahu part is a complete Jumla which has Hamida as the file, Hamida as the fail, Huwa as the file, and last Hu as attached pronoun. So Man was Ism Mawsul, and this whole sentence is the Sila, which means that this thing which is in the bucket of Majroor, but this thing is actually a Jumlatul Mawsula, relative clause. Okay, so Lam is Jar, Man Hamidahu is Majroor, right? Now, Jar Majroor fragment, which, and you know that Jar Majroor fragment is called Muta'alliq bil Fail. Muta'alliq bil Fail. Which fail? Samia. So now, let's wrap it up. Samia, fail Madi, Allahu as the file, Liman Hamidahu as Muta'alliq bil Fail. Okay, and then Rabbana Lakal Hamd. Now remember this point. This is a separate sentence. Why? And this is the reason, you know, in some of the ahadith, it is Sami Allahul Hamida, Sami Allahu liman hamida, wa Rabbana walakal hamd. Rabbana, so some ahadith says Rabbana walakal hamd, and some of them say Rabbana lakal hamd. Both of them are in the riwayat. So regarding this Rabbana, understand this point, and we have discussed last time as well when we did the analysis for Sana, that whenever in Quran you see Rabbana or Rabbi, what I said, whenever in Quran you see Rabbana or Rabbi, because Rabbana is for the plural, our Rabb, and Rabbi is for one person, my Rabb. Okay, so this Rabbana and Rabbi, before them there is an implied Ya. So it's actually Ya Rabbana, and this is the reason that Rabba Rabba is in nasab status. Why? Please pay attention. If you don't know this thing, please understand this thing, inshallah. After ya, what is ya? Ya is called harfun nida, a calling particle. And after this calling particle, you have munada, the one being called. Now, if the one being called is mentioned as mudaf ilay, then its mudaf part will always go into nasab status. One more time. After the ya, what do you have? Munada, the one being called. If this munada part, the one being called part, is a mudaf ilay construction, then the mudaf part will always go into nasab. So instead of saying ya rabbuna, it will be wrong. Ya, if you have put ya, then rabbana. That's why rabba is in nasab status, right? So this is the justification of rabba in nasab status. Secondly, I have said last time that this harfun nida and munada, we don't give them any role in the sentence. We only label them. For example, in this case, I will say that rabbana is a munada. Munada means one being called. And here there's an implied ya. And that ya will be called harfun nida, calling particle. And rabbana is munada. That's it. Rabban, you would not give any role to this. You just simply say ya is implied here, and then rabbana is the munada. That's it. Sentence is starting now. And what is that? Lakal hamdu. Now, laka. Laka. What is laka? Jar majroor. Lam is the jar part. Lam is the jar part, and ka is the majroor part. Alhamdu. Alhamdu. What is alhamdu? You can clearly see ism in rafa status, right? It will become your mubtada. Alhamdu became mubtada, and you do not have any khabar, but you do have laka, jar majroor. So what would you do? You say that laka is the khabar. Why? Because actual khabar is missing. So let's translate it now. Rabbana, our Rabb, our master. Lakal hamdu. Now literally it means for you is the praise. But remember, you can clearly see, if you recall that when Jumlatul Ismiya becomes emphatic, you recall that topic of our previous level. What was that topic? That if your khabar is missing, number one. Number two, Shibhul Jumla comes in the start and plays the role of khabar as laka is doing here. And number three, Mubtada is proper as alhamdu is proper. If these three conditions are fulfilled, then you translate like exclusivity. Okay. So instead of saying our master, for you is the praise. Now what would you say? Our master, praise is only for you, or all praise is only for you. Why? Because Shibhul Jumla has come in the start, Khabar is missing, and Mubtada is proper. All the three conditions are met, and when these three conditions are met, your Jumlatul Ismiya becomes exclusive in terms of emphatic. Okay. Any question so far? So Sami'a literally mean he heard or he listened. But now Allahu, so Allah listened. Liman, for one, or for the one who, because when this man of Ism Mawsul come, we translate it as the one who. Okay. So li, for man, the one who, Hamida, praised. Hamida literally mean he praised. But you remember I said at one point that when you have this Ism Mawsul man and you translate it as the one who, after that the fail, when you translate the fail after Ism Mawsul, you will not use the subject of the fail. Why? Because this Ism Mawsul will play the role of subject for translation purposes. So li, for man, the one who, hamida, praise who? Him. Allah heard for the one who praised him. This la hamida who, this last who is him. So literally translation is Allah listened or Allah heard for the one who praised him. But remember this point. When this word Samiya comes with reference to Allah, then we translate it as accepted. Why? Because in your salah, you are actually, salah is a dua. Okay. So instead of literally translating as heard, you can translate as accepted. Allah accepted for the one who praised him. Accepted what? Accepted his salah and accepted his dua. Why? Before before this dua, you were in the ruku, and before ruku, what did you do? You made a dua. What was the dua? Surah Al-Fatiha. Oh Allah, guide us to the straight path. So with reference to that dua, you can refer this back to the dua ihdinas sirat al-mustaqim. You made that dua. Now Allah is giving you the good news that Allah accepted, and you can put in the commas dua. Allah accepted the dua for one who praised him. Rabbana lakal hamd. O our master, all praise is only for you. Okay, now inshallah, let's see that how much inshallah we can do in maybe next inshallah 5 to 10 minutes, and then we can stop there. So at-tahiyyatu lillahi was-salawatu wat-tayyibatu. So the first word is at-tahiyyatu. Now one thing is clear to all of you, that is at-tahiyyatu is a ism, and as a word it is feminine. Why? If you recall your feminine Muslim chart, Muslimatun, this atu or atun, okay? So at-tahiyyatu is a ism, it's feminine in terms of word, and it is in rafa status, right? Now please understand this principle. It is almost certain, I can't remember of any exception, it's almost certain. When your sentence begins and in the start you have ism with alif lam and rafa status, it's almost a done deal that it is your mubtada. So at-tahiyyatu will become the mubtada. And then you have this word lillahi. Now we know that lillahi is two words. It is jar and majroor. Lam is the jar part and Allahi is the majroor part. So lillahi is muta'alliq. Muta'alliq bil what? Let's see that if it's jumlatul ismiya, muta'alliq bil khabar. If jumla failiya, muta'alliq bil fail. Now, after that, you have this waw, which is connector or ataf. Okay. As-salawatu. And then this waw is connector. And then at-tayyibatu. You can all clearly observe this thing, that as-salawatu is also ism rafa status. At-tayyibatu ism rafa status. And these vows, this vow and this vow, both of them are indications that these as-salawatu and at-tayyibatu are connected. Now please pay attention. You cannot say that they are connected to lillahi. You know why? Because as-salawatu and at-tayyibatu are in rafa status. So you will see that which ism has came before them in rafa status, they will be connected to that ism, and that is at-tahiyyatu, right? So as-salawatu is matufun alay. Matufun alay. And matuf with what? With this one. And likewise, at-tayyibatu is also matufun alay, and it is also connected to this one. And matuf means that whatever role at-tahiyyat has played, same is the role for as-salawatu and at-tayyibatu. Which means, instead of saying, now let me put the labels again so you can see it clearly. You will say that this attahiyatu is matuf, and this as-salawatu and at-tayyibatu are matuf alay. This is matuf alay 1, and this is matuf alay 2. So matuf alongside its matuf alay together will play the role of mubtada. Okay, and then this lillahi, it was jar majroor, but there's no khabar, right? Because there's no khabar. So we will say that lillahi was actually jar majroor, which was mutalliq bil khabar, but now because khabar is missing, so lillahi can play the role of khabar. Shibul jumla khabar. Okay, so let's translate it. Attahiyatu. The word in singular is, this is the word. Tahiyatun. That is singular. Tahiyya means greeting. Tahiyya is singular, greeting. So attahiyatu, all greetings. Wassalawatu, and all prayers. Wattayyibatu, and all pure things. Because tayyiba means something pure. So all greetings, all prayers, and all pure things lillahi, for Allah. This is the translation. One more time. All greetings and all prayers and all pure things are for Allah. This will be the translation. Any question about this one? Okay. Assalamu. Assalamu. Remember, I just mentioned a few minutes ago that if you have ism with alif lam and rafa status, it is almost done deal that this will become your mubtada. Alayka is a jar majroor. Let's see that if we have our khabar, we will call it mutalliq bil khabar. If we do not have khabar, we can call it khabar. Ayyuhan nabiyyu, harfun nida and munada. So ayyuhan nabiyyu, if you recall in your mind, ya ayyuhal kul, ya ayyuhal kafirun, it is same construction, ayyuhal kafirun, and here we have ayyuhan nabi. So once again, if you do not see ya, you will assume that actually before, at this place, there is a harfun nida, ya, and this is implied. Then ayyuhan nabi. Even though I have done this ayyu construction in detail when we did ayyuhal kafirun, let me just mention very quickly. In case if you want to see the detail, please go back and listen the i'rab of ya ayyuhal kafirun. Okay, so ya is harfun nida, which is implied, not given. Ayyu, this ayyu will be called harfun nida, and this an-nabi will be called the sifa of ayyu, because ayyu mean o. Ayyu mean o. Who is this o? An-nabi, the prophet. So you can say that ayyu is mawsuf and an-nabi is the sifa. Mawsuf, sifa together. Remember, mawsuf, sifa together is your munada. So mawsuf and sifa together will be munada. So what is munada? Ayyun nabi. What about this ha? If you recall in your mind, when we discuss ayyuhal kafirun, we said that ayyu is munada, al kafirun is the sifa for ayyu, and ha, in that case, that ha was for warning. Why was the ha? Ha for warning. This ha is not ha of attached pronoun. Remember this point. This ha which comes with ayyu, this ha comes for warning. Okay, obviously in this case it is not for warning. Okay, so you can say that this ha is for the sharf. You can say for the, to point to the lofty status of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So this ha can play this ha can be given different labels depending on the context. As in the case of ayyuhal kafirun, we said that that ha was for warning the disbelievers. In this case, you can say that this ha is for the sharf and for the status of Rasulullah. But in reality, ayyu and an-nabi, ayyu mausuf, an-nabi sifa, ayyu nabi as Rabbana, Rabba and na together was the munada. In this case, ayyu and an-nabi together is the munada, and ha is brought in between for the status. So now you can say in a simple terms, ya is employed, harfun nida, ayyuhan nabi, O Prophet, is the munada. And what I said before, that you do not give any label or any role in the sentence. You simply say ya ayyuhan nabi, or ayyuhan nabi is a munada, and that's it. You will not give it any label in the sentence. Let's move on. Wow, this wow, and then this wow. Okay, rahmatullahi. There's a dhamma here. If you cannot see, I put it here. Okay, rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Okay, so this rahmatullahi and this barakatuhu, they are connected with this assalamu. Why? I said before that this wow is connecting them, and you need to see that what is the status of the word after wow, because the word is rahmatu, it's rafa status, barakatu, rafa status. Okay, so because of this rafa status, you said that they are connected to assalamu. And what was the role of assalamu, by the way? Mubtada. So same thing as I said here. Instead of saying that assalamu, let me just rub the whole thing so I can put it properly now. So I would say that this assalamu is ma'atuf. This rahmatullahi and this barakatuhu and this wow are connected. They are the ma'atuf alayh. Ma'atuf alayh 1 and ma'atuf alayh 2. So ma'atuf and ma'atuf alayh together will be called mubtada, which means that now you will say assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. This is your mubtada. And by the way, this ma'atuf and this ma'atuf, inside of them, they are mudaf ilayh themselves as well. As you can see, rahmatu and Allahi, barakatu and hu. Don't forget this, okay? They are on their own, mudaf ilayh. So, and this alayka, which was actually our mutalliq bil khabar, now it will play the role of khabar, and ayyuhan nabi was simply munada. So, assalamu, salam means peace, wa rahmatullahi, and mercy of Allah, wa barakatuhu, and blessing of Allah. Blessings of Allah. Okay, barakatun. Okay, so the peace and mercy of Allah and blessings of Allah, alayka, upon you, ayyuhan nabi, O Prophet. Now you can maybe rearrange the translation. O Prophet, may the peace and mercy of Allah and blessings of Allah upon you. Okay, any question about this phrase?
Assalamu alaikum, brother. Is there any difference in the